I don't like my performance at all. Will Wheaton gets candid about one of Wesley Crusher's most famous Star Trek, The Next Generation episodes. For more than 3 decades, Star Trek, The Next Generation has remained a cornerstone of science fiction television, and few characters from that series are as instantly recognizable or as polarizing as Wesley Crusher. The teenage prodigy at the helm of the Enterprise inspired admiration and frustration in equal measure. Played by a then-young Wil Wheaton, Wesley grew from awkward boy genius to a proto-Starfleet officer who repeatedly saved the ship. But recently, Wheaton himself has looked back on one of Wesley's most celebrated episodes and confessed, "I don't like my performance at all." It's a remarkably candid admission, and one that opens a fascinating window into the pressures of being a child actor on a massive franchise, the evolution of fan opinion over time, and the way performers reinterpret their own work decades later. Here's a closer look at the episode in question, what Wheaton actually said, and how his self-critique reveals the complicated legacy of Wesley Crusher, the episode that defined Wesley Crusher. When fans discuss famous Wesley episodes, one title comes up again and again, The First Duty. Airing in Season 5, the story sends Wesley to Starfleet Academy, where he's implicated in a tragic training accident, and then faces a moral dilemma about whether to protect his squadmates or tell the truth. It's widely considered Wheaton's strongest material on TNG, and one of the show's most mature explorations of ethics and loyalty. At the time, critics praised both the writing and Wheaton's performance. The young actor had been absent from the series for much of Season 5, so his return carried weight. Wesley, once the ship's bright-eyed mascot, was suddenly in real trouble. Not just a technobabble fix-it boy, but a young man facing adult consequences. For many viewers, this was the moment the character finally felt grounded. But in a recent interview for his web series and podcast Ready Room, and echoed at several convention panels, Wheaton said he can't stand to watch himself in that episode. "It's one of the best scripts I ever got," he said, "but I don't like my performance at all. I watch it and I see every insecurity, every doubt, every place I was trying too hard." Why Wheaton feels that way now? Wheaton's self-criticism isn't unusual. Plenty of actors dislike their own work. But it's striking because The First Duty is so frequently cited as his showcase. In explaining his feelings, Wheaton pointed to a few factors. One, he was still a teenager under intense scrutiny. At 18 or 19, Wheaton was navigating adulthood, fame, and a high-pressure set all at once. "I didn't know how to be subtle yet," he said. "I thought acting meant doing everything big. Looking back, I wish I'd trusted the material more." 2, he was trying to meet impossible fan expectations. By Season 5, Wesley had become a lightning rod. Some fans resented the character's precociousness, others adored him. Wheaton later learned that a portion of the audience projected their own feelings of alienation or resentment onto Wesley, making the role even harder to calibrate. "I wanted to prove to everyone I belonged," he said. "I was trying to be good enough instead of just being honest." 3, he lacked the life experience that would have deepened the performance. In The First Duty, Wesley is wrestling with guilt and loyalty after a classmate's death. Wheaton said he had never experienced anything comparable. "I was a kid who'd never really been in trouble," he recalled. "I didn't know what it was to carry that kind of shame or loss. I did my best to imagine it, but I can see now where I fell short." The fan perspective, a different story. What makes Wheaton's comments especially interesting is how differently fans perceive that same performance. On social media, people regularly cite The First Duty as proof that Wesley Crusher had matured into a complex character. The scene in which Captain Picard confronts Wesley, "The first duty of every Starfleet officer is to the truth," remains one of Patrick Stewart's most quoted monologues, and Wheaton's teary, conflicted reaction is often praised as one of his finest moments. This divergence between actor and audience highlights how subjective performance can be. Viewers may bring empathy, nostalgia, or identification to a scene that an actor can't see because they're too aware of the mechanics. Wheaton has said he sometimes hears from fans who were inspired to tell the truth in their own lives because of Wesley's choice in that episode. "That means the world to me," he acknowledged, even if he personally cringes at his line readings. A career shaped by Starfleet, Wheaton's candidness about his younger self also reflects his broader journey with Star Trek. He famously left TNG before its run ended, frustrated by limited material and wanting to pursue other projects. For years, he distanced himself from Wesley Crusher, yet by the 2010s, he had embraced the franchise again, becoming a beloved convention guest, writing about his experiences, and even returning to the role in cameo form for Star Trek, Picard. In his memoir, Still Just a Geek, Wheaton devotes entire chapters to unpacking his complicated feelings about TNG, including regrets about leaving and gratitude for what the show gave him. His admission about the first duty fits into that ongoing process of reevaluation. Rather than simply rewriting history, he's acknowledging both the flaws and the impact of his work. Revisiting Wesley's arc. When we watch The First Duty today, especially in the context of the full TNG canon, Wesley's storyline feels prophetic. The episode plants seeds for his eventual departure from Starfleet and hints at the spiritual path he takes in Season 7's journey's end. It also shows that the prodigy can fail, and that his real heroism lies in telling the truth, not just fixing warp fields. That arc mirrors Wheaton's own trajectory in some ways. The actor who once felt pressured to be perfect has found his voice by admitting imperfection. In interviews, he now speaks openly about mental health, imposter syndrome, and the realities of child stardom. Fans who once saw Wesley as a stand-in for themselves can now see Wheaton, the adult, modeling a different kind of courage, vulnerability, the power of self-critique. Actors revisiting old performances often face a dilemma. Do they preserve the myth, "It was great, everyone loved it," or do they risk disappointing fans by telling the truth? Wheaton chose the latter, and the reaction has been overwhelmingly supportive. Comment threads under his confession are full of people saying, "You're too hard on yourself," or "That episode helped me through a tough time." There's also an intriguing meta layer. Wesley Crusher's first duty is to the truth, and now Wheaton is telling his own truth about playing Wesley. In a way, his candidness completes the arc that started in 1992. By admitting he doesn't like his performance, he's embodying the very ethic his character had to learn. Lessons for fans and future actors. Wheaton's comments also offer insight for young performers and creators working in big franchises today. Social media has amplified the scrutiny on actors far beyond what Wheaton experienced in the 80s and 90s. The temptation to try too hard or read every comment is even stronger. Seeing a veteran like Wheaton acknowledge his insecurities can be a reminder that growth and self-forgiveness are part of the artistic process. For fans, his honesty deepens appreciation rather than diminishes it. Knowing that Wheaton struggled with the same self-doubt many viewers felt as teenagers makes Wesley's story resonate more, not less. It reframes The First Duty not just as an episode about ethics, but as a snapshot of a young actor finding his way under enormous pressure. Could he do it differently today? One of the most poignant moments in Wheaton's recent remarks came when he was asked how he'd approach The First Duty if he could do it over. "I'd do less," he said. "I'd let the silences work. I'd trust Patrick Stewart and the camera. I wouldn't be so afraid of being boring." It's easy to imagine how that might look, a more restrained, internal performance. Yet part of what makes the original episode powerful is its rawness. Wheaton's visible struggle, his sometimes overstated expressions, match the emotional storm of a